Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com. There is a fight that no one is talking about that I believe, if made, could make boxing history. At a minimum, I believe that this fight could be one of the more intriguing fights of recent memory. Let me give a little historical context. One of the absolute best fighters in history. In fact, he is a boxing Hall of Famer, was the great Henry Armstrong. Armstrong did the unthinkable way back in the 1930s of actually holding at the same time the featherweight, the lightweight, and the welterweight titles. Now, I know old timers are aware that back then you actually had far fewer divisions. So the accomplishment, quite frankly, is staggering. When Armstrong fought for the welterweight title, I believe he was outweighed by somewhere around 10 pounds or something close to it. And Armstrong still was able to win that belt. Now we have an intriguing fighter. I believe he is a unique talent. He clearly is an elite talent. And he right now holds the belts at junior middleweight and middleweight. And that's Sergio Martinez, who just got the middleweight belt by taking apart Kelly Pavlik. Now, I believe that fans, like you and me, we actually have an advantage over the boxing establishment in gauging fighters because we can actually go by what we see. We're not at fights. We actually are able to watch fights from a better vantage point, our living rooms, where we can actually dissect film. And with today's computer equipment and today's video equipment, you can literally replay a round over and over to figure out the punch sequence and to figure out what worked and what didn't work. And I believe it's interesting. There is a huge gap between perception and reality when it comes to Sergio Martinez. And I believe the one person who understands that better than anyone else, with the possible exception of his promoter Lou DiBella, is Sergio Martinez himself. Martinez actually does better against taller fighters because he is almost impossible to hit in the body. What he's able to do against a taller fighter, whether it's Paul Williams, whether it's Kelly Pavlik, is he's able to fight his fight, which is a distance in and out fight, and he, at 5'10", is able to lean forward, and when he leans forward with his upper body, due to his blistering hand speed, a taller fighter who would have to reach down to hit him anyway can't get close enough to hit Martinez in the body. And the greatness of Martinez is he's able to dart in, get off not one or two punches. He's a combination fighter. He's able to dart in, get off combinations, and then get back outside. The taller fighter's at a complete disadvantage. There is someone out there who fights his fight style somewhat, and that is the great Manny Pacquiao. The difference between the two guys, and it's a profound difference, is that Manny Pacquiao is a lead volume puncher, right? He comes in, he simply lands more punches than you do. He's not waiting on you. Sergio Martinez, by contrast, is actually a natural counterpuncher, right? Martinez waits for you to make a mistake. It doesn't have to be a punch. It can be foot movement, which is what it usually is. In other words, as Martinez is walking around the ring, the taller guy starts to follow Martinez around the ring, and Martinez is aware of when that taller guy can throw a punch and when his feet don't allow him to. Now, the best at 168 pounds might well be, and I consider this guy an elite fighter. Certainly, he's one of boxing's very best, and that is Lucian Bute. Here's the catch. Okay, Bute is 6'2". Sergio Martinez is 5'10". Bute is the title holder at 168 pounds. People are going to think that Martinez is suicidal going up to fight Bute. And while Bute is one of the better slick boxers, he's certainly one of the slickest guys in the sport. What folks don't realize is that Lucian Bute is actually a knockout puncher. Bute's knockout ratio is 80%. In other words, for all that clever boxing we see Bute do, what Bute really excels at is planting his feet and letting his hands fly. Also, take a look at his fight against Libredo Andrade. He ended that on a body shot. Bute is a brutal body puncher. He just looks good doing it because he throws those shots in the middle of combinations. Also, look at his last fight against Edison Miranda. Miranda got up several times against Arthur Abraham, who's considered a big hitter, right? Arthur Abraham is one of the biggest punchers pound for pound in the sport. You know what? Edison Miranda barely made it to his feet against Lucian Bute. When the referee called off the fight, Edison Miranda did not complain at all. It was obvious that he was shaken up. Now, what does this mean? Let's go one step further, too. Think about Bute's fights, right? Bute, 9 times out of 10, is always fighting someone who pursues him. Edison Miranda came after him, right? Libredo Andrade came after him. Bute does a great job of fighting while playing a matador. He likes to be in the defensive mode, even though he's a big-time offensive fighter. No one yet has figured out that maybe the way to handle Lucian Bute is to fight the kind of distance-type fight that Sergio Martinez does perfectly, the in-and-out type fight. And I think it's an intriguing fight. I don't know who wins that fight. I believe it's that close. But understand, the fight would be historical because if Sergio Martinez would be able to beat Lucian Bute, he would hold the belts from 154 to 168. Let me also point out, too, that as old-timers know, when the great Sugar Ray Robinson gained weight to fight Joey Maxim for Maxim's light heavyweight title, a belt that Robinson was well on his way to win before having to give up the hunt due to heat exhaustion late in that fight. Robinson didn't gain the weight to be a light heavyweight. Sergio Martinez doesn't have to weigh more than 160 pounds to fight for the 168-pound title. Let me also point out, too, that Martinez's hand speed and foot speed, which are blistering at 154 and 160, would simply be outside the range at 168. How I would see the fight being is I think Bute would have to be the aggressor. I think Martinez would have a foot speed advantage on Bute and would be able to come in and throw quick punches. The question is, can Bute function without having access to Sergio Martinez's body? Bute throws a mean uppercut. He stopped Edison Miranda with the mean uppercut. Bute is a master at rolling with punches, but you need to ask yourself, does rolling your shoulders really work when you're fighting a Manny Pacquiao or Sergio Martinez who is using the entire ring and is just in and out? In other words, that James Toney type of technique of being able to handle a guy up on you works when the guy is up on you, but does it work when the guy is literally darting around you? I think that's an intriguing fight. If boxing promoters, and I've gotten a call from some boxing promoters, if boxing promoters watch videos here, Lou DiBella, please talk to Sergio Martinez. I believe it's a low-risk fight for him because if he loses, it was outside his weight class. If he wins, he makes boxing history. Financially, the fight makes great sense. Lucian Bute is a huge draw at Bell Center. Both have HBO contracts. Thanks for watching.